The moment the little girl stepped into the glass-walled office, the room shifted. Two sharply dressed executives glanced up, their polished smiles freezing as they took in the sight of a child in worn denim shorts, a faded yellow shirt, and a backpack that looked too heavy for her small shoulders. In her hands she clutched a brown envelope as if it were something fragile, something important, something she was almost afraid to let go of. Outside the office, an elderly man leaned against his cane, watching her with a worried tenderness that contrasted sharply with the sleek corporate world before her. No one could have guessed that what was about to happen would change every life in that room. No one could have known that the little girl held more truth in her trembling hands than the million-dollar contracts spread across the executive's table. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of good deeds, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like these deserve to be told. She stood silently for a moment, gathering courage, her fingers tightening around the envelope. All she wanted was to do the right thing. That morning she had found it on a park bench, resting beside an old man who seemed to be searching his pockets in confusion. She had tried to return it then, but the man had disappeared into the crowd before she could reach him. When she opened the envelope just enough to check for a name, she saw numbers, too many numbers, and crisp bills stacked neatly inside. She had never held that much money in her life. For someone who counted coins to buy bread, who carefully folded worn-out shoes so they lasted a little longer, the sight had overwhelmed her. But her mother always told her that doing the right thing was the only thing that truly belonged to a person. And so she came to the only address written on a small card inside. The executives glanced at one another, smirking as they rose from their chairs. They saw only a child. They assumed she was lost. They assumed she was foolish. One of them reached for the envelope with the arrogant ease of a man who expected the world to hand him things. The little girl hesitated, and for a moment her lower lip trembled. She wasn't sure if she was making a mistake. What if this wasn't the right place? What if they took the envelope and she never saw the real owner? She had worked hard to track the address, taking buses she couldn't afford and walking blocks under the burning sun, but she reminded herself that she had to try. She had to do her part. As soon as the envelope left her hands, the taller executive laughed, the kind of laugh that echoed off glass walls and expensive furniture. It wasn't warm. It wasn't kind. It was the sound of a man amused by something he thought he owned. He flipped the envelope casually, glancing inside just enough for his eyebrows to jump in interest. He whispered something to his colleague, and both men exchanged a quick, greedy smile. The girl didn't understand it at first, but she knew it didn't feel right. The air around her suddenly felt colder, heavier. She tried to explain that she had simply come to return it, that she hoped the owner wouldn't be angry that she opened it a little. She hoped the men could help her find him. But the executives waved her off, brushing aside her words like dust on their suit sleeves. They told her they would handle it, though their eyes gleamed with something far from honesty. For a brief second, the girl wondered if she should grab the envelope and run, and then everything changed. The glass door behind her opened slowly, and the gentle tap of a cane echoed through the room. The executives straightened immediately, their expressions shifting as if a superior had arrived. The little girl turned, and her breath caught when she recognized him. The same old man from the park, the same one she had chased, the same one she had spent all day trying to find, stood there, frail but dignified, framed by the sunlight behind him. He saw her instantly, and his eyes softened with recognition. At that moment the executives froze, their polished confidence draining as realization dawned. The little girl's heart pounded as the old man's gaze drifted to the envelope the executive was now gripping nervously. What followed was not loud. It did not need to be. The old man simply asked a question, and the truth unraveled like a thread in the hands of fate. The girl explained everything, how she found the envelope, how she tried to chase him, how she feared bringing it to the wrong people. Each word she spoke trembled with honesty, and as she talked, the old man moved closer, until he gently placed a hand on her shoulder. He told her the envelope held everything. his savings, the final amount he needed to secure a home for himself and his sick wife, who could no longer climb stairs or breathe well in the cramped apartment they lived in. Losing that envelope could have cost them their chance at peace in their final years. The executives' faces paled. Their silence exposed them more than any accusation could. The old man noticed the way they held the envelope, the way their eyes avoided his. He was old, but not foolish. He asked firmly for it back. The taller executive hesitated, just for a second, before returning it with stiff fingers, and then, the most unexpected moment came. The old man opened the envelope, took out a single bill, not a large one, just enough to make a difference to a child who had nothing, and pressed it into the girl's hand. But she shook her head, refusing. She didn't do it for a reward. She only wanted the money to go where it truly belonged. The old man's eyes filled with tears at her refusal. He insisted. She refused again. The executives watched in stunned silence as the old man finally knelt slightly, meeting the girl's eyes, telling her that kindness like hers was something rarer and more valuable than money itself. She finally accepted, not because she wanted it, but because he needed her to understand her own worth. The office felt different now. The executives, ashamed, lowered their heads. The girl, relieved, smiled for the first time that day. And the old man, clutching his envelope to his chest, breathed as though a weight heavier than years had finally lifted. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of the importance of kindness, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's fill the world with more stories that remind us what truly matters. Before we end, speech balloon special request, comment below what you would have done if you found that envelope. Your answer might inspire someone today.